Everyone, welcome back to the next video. In today's video I will show you how to do GraphQL subscriptions with Apollo Kotlin in native Android app. So if you don't know what subscriptions in Apollo Kotlin are, subscriptions are basically like real-time communication. Okay, so if I send you some message, just like WebSockets, if I send you some message, you should be able to send it, you should be able to receive it, right? So what I have done is that I have already created this backend. So if you are curious how to do it via Node.js, I have already have a video on that on my channel. So here I have started one subscription. So this is my subscription. I am listening for new users, and here if I try to add one new user via mutation, you should be able to see it over here. Okay, so this is my mutation output, this is my subscription output. So if I try to add some new user, okay, so suppose Sachin, and if I click on the mutation, here you can see it is added in subscription as well as it has been added in mutation as well. So I will show you the native Android output first. So here I have one list. So here you can see Sachin was added because I was listening to the subscription. So I'll add some new user. So suppose Rachna. Okay, I'll close this. I'll click on add user, and if I scroll down here you can see Rachna was added, and as well as over here you can see Rachna was added. So yeah, that's what subscription are. So let's see how to integrate this with Apollo Kotlin in native Android app. So firstly, create a native Android project, and here you will have to first go to Android Studio, settings, make sure in plugins you have this GraphQL plugin installed because this will help us with type intelligence. Next I have my Node.js server locally running. Next here you will go to build.gradle.kts and add this. So this is required for Dagger Hilt. Next I will go to this build.gradle.kts, and here I have added Apollo library, Apollo 3. Version 4 is still in beta, but I don't think there will be any breaking changes as such. So if you are watching the video and Apollo 4 is already out, so you should use that. Next I am using Dagger Hilt plugin, and I am using Kotlin capped because KSP is still not stable yet for Dagger Hilt. Then I have just copy pasted this from the Apollo documentation itself. Only thing which you will have to change is this package name. So this is my package name, that's why I am using it over here, but you can change it to yours. Next is you will have to add this Hilt Dagger dependency. Then I have added this Apollo Kotlin. I have also used this normalized cache, even though I'm not really using it in my app. I just wanted to show you, like currently there is some issue with normalized cache in my app, that's why I'm not using it, because the users are not getting updated. But anyways, in future I will definitely make a video on that as well. And next over here I have added this lifecycle view model for view model extensions like view model scope and all that stuff. And you also need to add this Android activity KTX for view model injection as well. Now if you try to click on sync, just try to click on sync, and then you will get an error saying that schema or GraphQLs were not found. So what you will have to do is you will have to open your terminal, and here you will have to run this command. So this is the entire command, but the endpoint you should replace it with your own GraphQL endpoint. So I have my server running over on this endpoint, and once what it basically does is downloads that GraphQL schema and put it in this folder inside our Android project. Once that is done, then you can click on sync now. Once you have done that, what I have done is so I will go to project drop down, and you should be able to see something like this, schemas.graphql. Then I have created 3 files, one for adding user, one for getting user, and one for our subscription. So this is for adding a user mutation. Okay, this is for getting list of all users. So as soon as the app is launched, I am calling this query. So this is only fired once your app is launched, so that you can get list of all the user. And this is our subscription. So this is gets triggered every time you do an add user mutation. Once you add these 3 GraphQL files, you will have to click on this build, otherwise those code generation and intelligence would not be generated for you. So better you do this now as soon as you add your GraphQL files. Once you do that, I'll again go back to my Android drop down, And first I have created this my application class, so it is an hit Android app. Once you do that, you will have to go to android manifest.xml. So here I have added our internet permission. I'm using use clear test traffic because my node.js app is hosted locally, and I have also referenced our my application over here. Once that is done, here I have created a data class for simple user. So typically we get an ID and name for all the subscriptions and queries. So output is more or less the same, so that's why I have created a data class for simple user. So the output which we get from Apollo client, we will map it to this simple user. So for that I have created this user mapper class as well. So this entire part should be from Apollo Kotlin itself. Okay, so here you can see I'm importing it from Apollo Kotlin. You can't randomly write this anything which you wish for. This name you can write whatever you feel like. Similarly for mutation, so however whatever is your GraphQL files which you have added, according to that you will get proper intelligence. So I've added a add user mutation which has an add user, and this name can be anything, and here I am just mapping it something like this. Okay, next I have created a user client, and it has three methods: get users for this query, add user for add user mutation, and use user subscription for listening to new users. So here you can see I am sending a flow so that we can constantly listen to those new users being added. So it is a of type flow Apollo response, and this should be whatever you have added in your GraphQL schema, I mean that GraphQL file. And here I'm just returning list of users. Now if you see the user here you will have to go to Apollo user client. I'll just remove this. So I am extending from user client, and it takes Apollo client as an object. So here you can see that I'm just calling a suspend function get users, and it will give you a list of simple users. Similarly over here for adding a user input, I'm getting a list of all the users and returning it back. Like I have made a mistake over here. While adding a user, I should have just written that particular user, but in my backend I am returning a list of all users. That's why I'm using it over here. And here you can see Apollo client, I am querying our get users query. I am calling the execute method, then I am getting the data. From that data I am getting users, and then I am mapping it to our mapper. So if you remember, we had created this extension for you. Similarly for add user mutation as well, I have already covered user mutation, query and mutation in my previous video. That's why I'm not going in depth. If you are curious, you can watch that video. This video is mostly about subscription. So for subscription, again I have overridden this method, and here you will have to call Apollo client.subscription, and you will have to call get user subscription, and I'm just returning the flow object to this. Once that is done, you will have to call we'll go to app module, and here you can see that I have created a singleton. For subscriptions you don't really need this, like this was part of my queries and mutation, so you can ignore this. Again over here, this is like for normalized cache. Again I'm not using it, but I am just keeping it for your reference. I will definitely make a video on this in future once I have figured it out. But the important part is you will have to create this method, and again you don't need OKHTTP client over here, because if you try to add OKHTTP client again along with this subscription, your app will crash. That's why I'm not using OKHTTP client. So here you will have to give your server URL. So given that I'm running on Android emulator, that's why I'm using this domain. And you will also have to create this subscription network transport, and you will have to use this protocol. So I'm using GraphQL WS. There are other protocols as well, I think, which I will show it to you. Like there are some deprecated, so there is something called subscription transport WS as well, that is deprecated. So here you can see, like on my backend side I am using GraphQL WS. That's why I have set this GraphQL WS protocol. If you're using, I think AppSync is from AWS. If you're using something like that, you can use this. And if you're curious how to do the Node.js backend, I already have a video on that. And again I'm using same URL which I have defined it over here, and I'm building it. Okay, and I have created another class for method for providing the user client, which is the Apollo user client. Once that is done, so I have shown you this as well. Now we'll go to user model. So here I am using @hilt view model, and I am injecting user client. Then I am getting creating a list of all the user mutable state flow. Then I am calling is loading as well for mutable state flow. Then I have created for as a state flow for users and is loading. And as soon as our view model is launched, firstly I am getting the all the users with the help of query, and I am assigning it to our users value. And once that is done, then I am doing subscription, like I'm listening for subscription. Don't try to put subscription over here, otherwise your loading state will never end. So put it at the very bottom, and here you can see I'm collecting the data. So if there is any new user, then I'm just appending it to our existing value. So this is how you append it. And this is for add user mutation. So here you can see once I get the data, I'm not changing our list, just to show it to you that I'm actually changing the list via subscription and not via mutation. So that's how it is. Next, if you see my layout files, here I have just taken a progress bar, an edit text, a button, and a recycler view. Next, inside each cell of recycler view has a text view and an horizontal ruler or an horizontal line. Next, inside custom adapter, if you see, I am just taking list of all the simple users. Here I have initializing our text view. In on create we are inflating our layout file, and inside on bind view holder I am assigning the name to our text views text, and here in get item count I am returning the size of our data set. Next, if you go to main activity, here I have injected our user model. Also make sure you add this @Android entry point. Here I have initialized progress bar, button, recycler view, and edit text. And over here I have just taken a user list, mutable list of simple user, and I have created variable for adapter. Then here I have initialized all the UI elements, initialized our adapter, assign it to a recycler view, and on button click I am adding a user mutation. So here I am just assigning getting the name from edit text. All other values are optional. That's why I have hard coded all these values, and given these values are optional, we have to use something like optional dot present. And here you can see that I'm listening for the users collection. So every time the user collection has changed, I'm checking if the users is not empty. If it is not empty, then I'm doing user list dot clear, and I'm just appending the item to our users list, and then notifying our data set changed. And if you want a live data example, I'm using live data over here as well. You can refactor it, and this is again I'm using live data over here, but you can use flow as well, your choice. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.